We're about to begin our program, but I'd like to quickly recognize and thank Chef Paul and the kitchen staff and volunteers for the meal we're about to receive. Also to my fellow Veterans Committee members for all your hard work and planning to make this day a success. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our officers for the powerful flag retirement ceremony that you'll witness here this afternoon. They do an exemplary job for us every year, and today will be no exception, I'm sure. Also like to thank the governing body, board of directors, and the members who support our veterans, service members, first responders, and their families, and all our veterans, veteran committee outreach programs. Thank you all for your continued support. And special thanks to the Patriot Guard, who come out every year at each of our events and do the walk of honor for our veterans. Thank you all for coming once again. They have a smaller contingent today because they were called to do yet another funeral service for one of our fallen comrades. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen from the Patriot Guard, for all that you do. Special thanks to Kathy Cook and the Bandstand Band for their years of dedication to our veterans events. Kathy and the band have a very special treat for the closing of our ceremonies today, so again, please stay to the end. Finally, much thanks and gratitude to our keynote speakers, Dennis Buten of House of Heroes, and also Bob Kaiser from APK Charities. Both of these gentlemen will have many good things to share with us, and I think their stories will be moving for all of you. So we'll look forward to their presentations right after we have our meal today. And without further ado, please stand if you are able for the posting of our colors or our national anthem. Color guard, 10, up, forward, march. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to, at this time, call up my dear friend and fellow veteran, Captain Jane Vieira, who will lead us in our invocation today.
Fellow veterans, friends, please promise with me as we ask God's blessing. Dear God, we thank you for the gift of this day and for every precious moment we breathe in freedom. In these last days before Thanksgiving, as we reflect on all the many reasons we have to be thankful, we give thanks for the men and women of every generation who have worn the cloth of our nation. No group more richly deserves our deepest gratitude than those who have served in our armed forces, and those who are standing watch at this very moment on our behalf. Because of their service and sacrifice, our country has remained safe and free, and advanced freedom for others around the globe. We ask your warm and abundant blessing upon every veteran, and upon all here present, including the Bandstand Band, the Patriot Guard Riders, our visiting Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, our cooks and servers, all volunteers, and especially upon the Westbrook Elks for their incredible generosity in hosting this celebration and their selfless service to our community. We also remember those not present with us, those who have passed, and especially those who grieve for sons and daughters who made the ultimate sacrifice. Comfort the hearts of all who grieve. Heal those who bear physical, emotional, and spiritual wounds, and surround all of them with love. Let all veterans know, wherever they may be, we respect them, we thank them, we honor them, we are proud of them. Surround each and every one and their families with your peace, love, and healing light this day and in all the days to come. May your blessing be upon this celebration and upon the meal we are about to share, and always upon this great nation, this magnificent land we are proud to call our home. It is in the strength of your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Be seated, and servers. I'm going to ask that you all welcome my dear friend and brother from House of Heroes, Dennis Buden. Little bio on Dennis. He was executive director. He is the executive director of House of Heroes since 2017 and is a member of the National Board of Directors for the organization. A passionate and dedicated supporter of veterans, Dennis did not serve in the military, but has spent the past 10 years working for and on the behalf of veterans and veterans causes in Connecticut, serving those who have served us. A career marketing and public relations professional with more than 30 years of experience, Dennis uses his skills in these fields to advance the House of Heroes mission and to serve veterans statewide. In addition to his work with House of Heroes, Dennis has worked on behalf of the disabled veterans, Wreaths Across America, New Britain Veterans Council, and the Special Guerrilla Unit Layout Veterans National Committee. He is the founder and director of the state's largest veterans charity golf event, the Golden Kielbasa Veterans Open, which has raised more than $140,000 over the past 7 years for House of Heroes, DAV, Fisher House, and other Connecticut veterans charities. So it's an honor and privilege to bring up my good friend, Dennis Buden.
Thank you, folks. Thank you to my fellow elegant brother in service, Bruce Fake, for that wonderful introduction. I'd like to offer a special thank you to Exalted Ruler Kevin DiLoretto and the membership of Block 1784, and the entire Westbrook community for hosting this very special luncheon and inviting me here today. It's an honor to be with you representing House of Heroes, Connecticut, and a particular honor to be an invited guest along with Bob Kaiser of the esteemed APK Charities, which does such magnificent work for our veterans, in the name of Bob's son, Captain Andrew Pedersen-Keel. Gatherings like the one here today are happening at Elks Lodges, VFW posts, and similar venues all across our state and nation, as it is the time of year when our nation celebrates Veterans Day. There are rooms full of military service veterans, just like you here today, breaking bread with their brothers, sisters, and fellow community members, enjoying this special moment of peace and fellowship. But we are not here to celebrate Veterans Day, we are here to celebrate you. To applaud your service, to thank you for safeguarding our freedom, to show our gratitude for your willingness to put country before self, to recognize you and to make certain that you know that your sacrifice is respected and appreciated. Most of you here in this room today are thankful to have served and returned home safely. Others, like Captain Pedersen-Keel, were not as fortunate. Such is the price we pay for freedom. And for common citizens like myself, who have not served in the trenches, who have not stared down the enemy with our lives on the line, who have not been in your shoes, it is an honor beyond compare to be able to be here today to thank you for your service. It is gratitude that brings us here today, and it is gratitude that shapes what our organization, House of Heroes, is all about. The mission of our organization is to recognize, honor, and serve military and public safety veterans, or perhaps their surviving spouses, for their sacrificial service to our nation. We do that by providing these heroes with one-day, no-cost home improvements, typically focusing on safety and accessibility. We call it making a difference in a day. Our requirements are that the veteran own their own home, has been honorably discharged from service, and has a physical or financial hardship which prevents him or her from performing home upgrades or improvements on their own. Whether it is a greatest generation veteran who needs a handicap ramp to stay in his or her home, whether it is a disabled Vietnam-era veteran whose bathroom needs to be retrofitted to make it safer and more accessible, or whether it's a younger veteran perhaps with PTSD, struggling to make ends meet, House of Heroes strives to be there to help. We can't help everyone, but those we do help, such as Westbrook's own Pat Borski here with us today, are forever grateful. The House of Heroes Connecticut chapter is part of a growing national organization which has completed nearly 1,000 bills, as we call them, since its founding in 2000. And since our chapter's founding in 2012, we have completed more than 100 projects in 42 cities and towns across Connecticut and 7 additional states. It is our honor and privilege to serve Connecticut's veterans community. Our chapter was co-founded by a truly inspirational man, Bill May, a 24-year Army aviation veteran and Black Hawk helicopter test pilot whose post-military mission in life was to serve his fellow vets. Bill, along with his general contractor friend and partner Steve Kavanaugh, established House of Heroes Connecticut as their way of giving back. Today, our chapter carries on without Bill, who passed away in December 2016 following a valiant 2-year battle with cancer. It is our team's mission this very day to safeguard Bill's legacy, to carry on Bill's passion for serving his fellow comrades, to grow our organization, and to help ever more veterans in need. With the help of companies large and small who join us as sponsors, with the help of terrific organizations like Westbrook Elks Lodge 1784, and with the help of wonderful friends like you here in this room today, our mission is made possible. In this season of giving thanks, I'd like to thank you again for having me here today, and thank you all for your service and sacrifice. God bless America.
It's always very powerful for me. We all miss Brother Bill May. Actually, his last bill was at Pat's over here in Westbrook. But the mission carries on, and if you have any questions, I'm sure Dennis will be around afterwards. There's some brochures out on the table in the hall. If you know a veteran in need, please grab a brochure. Next, I'd like to bring up another dear friend of mine, Bob Kaiser. Bob is a Gold Star dad. You know, we talk about the ultimate sacrifice. Bob's son Andrew was a West Point graduate. He was a captain in the Army in Afghanistan, in charge of a Green Beret unit. They were teaching the Afghans how to protect their own nation when his unit came under fire, and Andrew was ultimately killed in action and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And as Gold Star parents, Bob and his wife Helen have also shared in that ultimate sacrifice, having lost their son. Freedom isn't free, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody knows that better than Bob and Helen. Bob is a Gold Star dad to his stepson, Captain Andrew Pedersen Keel. Again, was killed in action in Afghanistan. Bob's a retired human resource development executive and consultant. Graduated at the University of Miami and Pennsylvania State. President and co-founder of APK Charities. Active in several ministries at St. George Catholic Church in Guilford, and president of the St. George Men's Group. Gentleman answering the call for social justice through good works. 75 members who have raised $250,000 in the last 5 years for military and community organizations. At this time, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you my friend and brother, Bob Kaiser.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be here today, and I want to thank Bruce, Dennis for his kind words, and the Westbrook Elks for inviting me to come here today. It's especially important because there's there's a saying by an unknown author that says that a soldier dies twice, once on the battlefield, and then dies the second time if she or he is forgotten. And so coming to events like this, as difficult as they are, helped me to keep Andrew's name alive. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Andrew. He was a Special Forces officer killed on March 11th of 2013 in Afghanistan. These comments that I'm going to give you are not mine. They come from two sources. The first source was at the state capitol in May of 2013 when Lieutenant Governor Nancy Lyman holds a Memorial Day presentation for the fallen from Connecticut. So Andrew grew up here in Connecticut and was one in the family who combined good grades in school and a proficiency in athletics. He was a football player and also played lacrosse. But he had an appetite for testing boundaries and a flair for mischief. That's kind of a nice way of saying was he was a difficult child as he was growing up. Even in his youth, one could see his developing charm and a never halfway, always head first approach to life. So whenever there would be a family gathering, particularly with cousins and others, it was not infrequent that Andrew was the clear center of attention. So he went on to high school at Avon Old Farms, where he continued to excel in academics in football and lacrosse, and he was very excited to be accepted to West Point. So PK, as he was known, he entered West Point in the summer of 2001. And that's the first class to enter West Point after 9/11, knowing that we were an army at war. So Andrew managed to earn the highest grade average of any student in English and literature at West Point. He was very proud of that. But he also excelled as a military leader during summer training and during field events. He had an unusual ability to tolerate some of the more insane aspects of attending West Point, while still managing to retain all the qualities that made him the kind of person that his friends all felt fortunate to know and love. He amassed an impressive 200 demerit hours at West Point. So for a period of about 6 months, we never saw him because he was in the quad at West Point marching back and forth. He also threw more unauthorized barrack parties, traveled more, read more books, and loved and laughed more than anyone. He had a passion for life and it had no bounds. So the comments I'm now going to read have to do with his military service. And we heard these from his Lieutenant Colonel now, Reed Furman, who's a Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel at he's in the Pentagon. So after 4 years, these are from Reed. After 4 years at the academy, he entered infantry training. By the way, when he had to decide what branch of the service he was going to go into the Army, he chose infantry. He said, why would I go in the Army if I wasn't going to go into the infantry? He went to Ranger School, and his first time he served in the 1st Armored Division in Afghanistan. Then went through the Special Forces course. He was a soldier's officer, someone who could inspire his peers and those serving under him. His strength, spirit, and endless sense of humor carried him through some of the most difficult training that the military offers. Throughout both tours in Afghanistan, Andrew was thrilled to be exactly where he was. After joining 1st Battalion, 3rd Special Forces Group, he was again deployed to Afghanistan and spent the first few months on battalion staff in the Battalion Operations Center. In late November of 2012, the commander of Special Forces Detachment 3126 was injured when his vehicle struck an IED. So we got a phone call from Andrew in December when this happened, and he told us that he was going to be taking over this Unit 3126. So his mother, in her kind of outgoing way, said, oh, how come? So Andrew said, oh, he said the guy broke his ankle. He did not want to tell us what really happened. So Reed said, when the battalion commander asked who I wanted to lead this team, I needed a strong leader and chose PK. Many of you know what a detachment ODA is, but a Special Forces detachment is only 12 men. When PK arrived, this team had been through 12 sustained firefights, tested by intense combat in harsh conditions. It was winter, there was no running water, food and supplies dropped in by a parachute, at an isolated base cut off by miles of Taliban territory. 3 members of the team had returned to the States with injuries, and several others had already been nominated for Valor Awards. To enter an environment like that where the balance of combat have been formed takes a special kind of leader. PK hit the ground running in Jalres District Bordai Province, Afghanistan, working with the Afghan police and Afghan army. Once again, he displayed his passion for life, putting every ounce of energy into his new team. He displayed the toughness and gritty determination that his family, friends, and teachers and coaches had seen all along. Andrew was killed on March 11th of 2013 when an Afghan policeman opened fire with a 50 caliber machine gun from 20 feet. He fired on PK's unit and the Afghan Special Forces teams as Andrew was holding a briefing. Andrew's death is an indescribably tragic and heartbreaking loss for all of us. There is some comfort, however, in knowing that beyond a shadow of a doubt, Andrew was exactly where he wanted to be. And I'm sure that even knowing it would end, he wouldn't have changed anything. So Helen and I have chosen to turn this tragedy into a positive by creating APK Charities, which is a Connecticut 501c3 foundation. APK Charities' mission is to serve as a bridge connecting our society and our armed forces, opening our hearts and minds to those who serve and protect us. APK Charities was created to help us properly honor and remember the life, bravery, and humanitarian spirit of Andrew. Our board is comprised of local civic leaders, military personnel, and clergy. We seek to raise awareness and support for our active, retired, wounded, and fallen warriors and their families, and to provide financial aid and material assistance to charitable organizations and causes similar to the House of Heroes. Right now, we are supporting the Fisher House at the VA hospital in West Haven. We were there particularly because we stayed at Fisher House down in Dover when Andrew came home. The Special Forces Charitable Trust here in Essex, Spike's Canine Fund, and we have 2 APK Charities endowment funds with the Madison and Guilford Foundation that'll go on in perpetuity. And then we have our newest initiative beginning in 2019, where we will donate half of our proceeds to veterans and active duty soldiers and families here in Connecticut, and with the 3rd Special Forces Group down in Fort Bragg. So APK Charities continues to grow and wants to expand its assistance with the help of donors, and I'd like to mention Mohegan's son and Kevin Brown, and 9 Line down in Savannah, Georgia. Actually, a classmate of Andrew's, Tyler Merritt, is the president and founder of 9 Line. We are committed to promoting and preserving Andrew's legacy through humanitarian service and sacrifice. I'd like to say in closing that subsequent to his death, there's been a great deal of recognition of Andrew's life and accomplishments through our signature event, the APK 5K and 5K Rec March, where we've raised over $250,000 in the past 5 years and donated over 20,000 pounds of food to local food banks. And for this, we are grateful. So as I mentioned earlier, that we do not want to forget. So I ask you not to forget those who have given their lives before him, the Gold Star families here in Connecticut, there are 65. Don't forget Sergeant Rex Shad, who was standing next to Andrew. So he was killed in the same attack Don't forget Bach, his military working dog that was killed. And don't forget those who have given their lives in service to their country, such as all of you. And finally, please don't forget those who go unmentioned and unnamed. There are several Gold Star families that are not recognized as Gold Star families here in Connecticut. We have Sam Hunt, and we have Dustin Doyen, who was killed in a ship accident in the South China Sea. And please don't forget the many service men and women who return home having suffered serious physical and mental injuries. Thank you very much.
I don't know about you folks, but I didn't hear Thank you, Bob. You know, I had the privilege to be at the 5K run walk in Providence a couple of weeks back, and despite the rain and conditions, it was well attended. APK is alive and well and continues to honor the sacrifices of not only Andrew, but all our service members here and abroad. So thank you again, Bob, for coming out and sharing with us today. You know, when I was recognizing our veterans for the different eras of service, I forgot to honor and recognize the families left behind to keep the home fires burning and the sacrifices that you all make to our servicemen and women, the husbands, the wives, the sons and daughters. So let's recognize our family support members real quick. And once again, especially to our Gold Star families who, along with their loved ones, made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. At this time, we're going to start momentarily with our flag retirement ceremony. We're going to have to do a little bit of setup, so maybe if I can have a couple of my team members will get...
Commitment and effective Board of Elks principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity. Recognize and believe in God, promote the welfare, and chance the happiness of its members to quicken the spirits of American patriotism. Cultivate good fellowship to itself as a fraternal organization that can provide for its government, malevolent and protective Board of Elks of the United States of America, to serve the people and communities through benevolent programs demonstrating that the Elks care, Elks share. Members and guests, we're about to perform the ceremony of retiring ensemble flags of our country in honor of the retirement and dignity and respect. Please stand, bow your heads as the Westbrook Elks Lodge Chaplain delivers our prayer.
Our Father who art in heaven, we ask thy blessings upon this patriotic service. As we gather to pay our respects and tribute to the nation's flag, may the beauty of our flag remind us always the proud history of our country. May it nourish in the hearts of all reverence for which it represents in the memory of those who fought beneath it. May we foster at all times the true spirit of the utmost loyalty to our flag. Amen.
Please be seated. The flag of the United States of America is the emblem of the benevolent and protective Order of Elks, which is distinctly American and intensely patriotic. Our American flag flies majestically over our homes, our communities, and public places, thereby proclaiming, signifying our pride and confidence in America. The flag is a symbol of our great nation. We have looked upon Americans' flags as a symbol of our our national unity and self-declaration to God, the country, and a fellow man. It is the spirit of our undying devotion to our country. It has been a banner of hope and freedom of generations. Americans, our flag represents one of the greatest, noblest, and most sublime dream, as well as the high ideas of individual liberty, justice, equal opportunity for all. Having been planted firmly on the high pinnacle of American faith, the flag, flooded folds, has been inspiration to untold millions. May we all continue to enjoy the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness which has been granted to every American as heritage of a free person. Lodge Esquire, you will receive the service-worn flags from the stations.
The flag is a symbol of unity, strength and unity, which is made possible by love and consideration for our fellow man in a great common cause. For the good of our nation, may the flag constantly remind and always encourage us of our duty to our fellow man. These flags have nobly served the cause of brotherhood that this nation under God is dedicated to. The golden rule of loving one another and doing unto others as we would they should do unto us. In the name of brotherly love, I present the service-worn flag.
justice. It also represents the freedom and justice upon which our country was founded. The symbol of our great nation has ensured individual freedom and promoted God's own justice for all the people of the earth. May our fellow man be reminded of their great responsibility as free persons to see that justice under God is self-evident truth of which they live and gives their last full measure of devotion. May our faith in justice inspired by the Bible be true and serving. May our justice enable us to perceive the merits of others and country, our opinions in dealing with our fellow man. In the name of eternal justice and with the unswavering trust and the mercy of our Heavenly Father, I present this service worn flag.
signifies part of the attribute, the common virtue of our order of charity. May our charity be loving and guided through the thought and deed of our duties to our fellow man. May it be boundless and all-embracing. May we ever be conscious of the principles it represents. May these flags be virtued our passion and charity for our fellow man. The faith we follow in these flags direct us in the bounds of charity for all mankind. In the name of charity, I present this service for flag.
nation's flag. In service to our country, countless citizens have devoted a lifetime, and many have given their lives. The flag remains us of our obligation to protect the American way of life and stimulate pride in our heritage with enthusiasm to preserve it. The responsibility of every true American is to personally understand and maintain the American way of life, to honor it by his own exemplary conduct, and pass it back to succeeding generations. Today, these colors are tattered and faded, yet have served the country with honor and distinction that have reached the end of their patriotic journey. May the fundamental virtues for which they wave be ever embedded in our hearts and souls. With a service of tribute, memory, and love to our faded and worn American flags, we honor, retire them, dignity, and respect. In the name of fidelity, I present this service-worn flag.
Old Glory. I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand, watch in every America's Hall of Justice. I fly majestically over great institutes of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident, I am arrogant, I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped, I am saluted, I am respected, I am revered, I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the deserts of Africa, the cane fields of the Philippines, the rice paddies and jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and a score of places long forgotten by all those who were with me. I was there. I led my soldiers. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired. But my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries that I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth and stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I have been a silent witness to all of Americans' finest hours, but my finest hours come when I am torn into strips to be used for bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son or daughter. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Dear God, long may I wave. Thank you.
And now for our very special treat from the band, a long version of Tapp's Il Silencio.
They're doing a burning of the flag.